Biggies basketball is on the air on FS1. And tonight from Hinkle Fieldhouse in Indianapolis, the Butler Bulldogs host the Golden Eagles of Marquette. Alex Faust, Casey Jacobson here with you, just 3 weeks away for the Big East tournament. Business end of the conference schedule. By this time of year, your freshmen are counted on to perform like upperclassmen, and we got two of them to show you here tonight.
Yeah, Dawson Garcia is still the front runner for me for Big East Freshman of the Year, and remains one of the biggest matchup nightmares for opposing teams because at 6'11", he can score in the post, but he's also knocked down 21 three-pointers on the season. This is a bounce-back game for him. He was held scoreless for the first time in his career just the other night. And then Chuck Harris, he's just a puppy, but he can score, especially from threes. Shooting close to 40% from deep, but he's also tough. In the first matchup, Alex, he lost a tooth on Theo John's elbow, but stayed in the game and scored Butler's next 8 points in that second half and almost gave them a chance to win.
What a performance for Harris, and he's been good all season for Butler. We take a look at the starting lineup, sponsored by Jeep Grand Cherokee. Marquette still without Justin Lewis with a leg injury, and after a struggle on Sunday against St. John's, Jamal Cain will come off the bench tonight. Greg Elliott makes his first start of the season. Butler dealing with some injuries. Bryce Enzi unavailable, so they'll go with a smaller lineup. Freshman Miles Tate comes in, and Christian David, long road back for an ACL tear, will get the start for Laval Jordan's Bulldogs. Steve Wojciechowski, another late season struggle for this group. A towel to honor the late John Thompson. Third game in the last 7 days. Marquette team that is on an odyssey, a long road trip, rare 5-game road trip for Marquette after some schedule adjustments earlier in the year. Bryce Golden against Theo John on the opening tip, and Marquette wins it back to get things underway. Marquette at 9-12 in the season, 5-10 in the Big East, and Butler playing a little bit better last couple weeks, up to 8th in the conference, 6-9 in conference play, 7-11 overall.
And part of that improvement, Alex, has been the improved play of Bryce Enzi, who's not playing, right? 15 points per game over his last 5 as Miles Tate commits the cardinal sin as a guard, fouling a jump shooter on the three-point shot to start this game. That's not what Val Jordan's looking for. This is a good Butler defensive team, mostly because they're disciplined. Right there, that's the opposite of discipline from the freshmen.
Greg Elliott will have 3 for Marquette. Tate, a 4-time state champion in high school, South Carolina. And Greg Elliott, redshirt junior from Detroit, heads to the stripe to start the night. Missed his freshman season with a hand injury, and then had ankle surgery in June prior to his sophomore year. So he is at quite the road to get where he is. Comes off the bench for Marquette, usually averages about 15.5 minutes per game.
Yeah, this is his first start of the season. I was talking to Coach Wojo today before the game, and he said, you know, hey, we need more scoring off the bench, and Greg Elliott is a guy who can easily step into the starting role. So now Jamal Cain, number 23, we will see him probably very shortly, a couple minutes here. Jamal Cain's a guy who averages double figures, 10 points, 6 rebounds, but they need a scoring punch off the bench. So this adjustment makes total sense to me in this matchup.
Here's Aaron Thompson going to work, and he took steps. Marquette bench, loving it. DJ Carton, we'll talk about him as the evening goes along with the defense. Intriguing
matchup right here between DJ Carton, number 21 in yellow, and Thompson, number 2 in white. Thompson is one of the best defenders that you'll see at the point guard position in the Big East and in the country. He's got a big-time assignment, though, against Carton, one of the best athletes you'll see.
Elliott picking up his dribble, and there's Dawson Garcia. Struggled his last time out, but he can be dynamic. Rainbow floater goes for Kobe McEwen for his first 2 of the night.
If Kobe McEwen can take good shots and get into a rhythm, you're talking about a completely different Marquette team. He has been wildly inconsistent, and in the mid-range, just 33% on those mid-range jumpers.
How about Bo Hodges, rejected at the rim. Now the Golden Eagles take it the other way. Wild take from DJ Carton, who was walled up in the paint.
There's that defense I was talking about from Aaron Thompson. He's quick of foot, but he also has very quick hands. Really nice job to deflect that ball without fouling.
Tate for Butler, and Bo Hodges, the transfer from East Tennessee State. Off the ball fake, driving Stopping low post, feeds it back out. And Butler, as they usually do, take most of the shot clock. This is in and out from Aaron Thompson, but will go back to the Bulldogs on a second look.
That's the Butler offense that really is patient. They only average 63 points a game, and Big East play a second to last in the conference. Only DePaul averages fewer points. But yeah, you know, LaVall Jordan gives them freedom in the first 8 seconds in transition, but if not, they want to get the best shot possible.
Tate from behind the backboard in the corner. Deep. Misfires from 3. Carton, his pass taken away.
It's been an issue for Carton is turnovers. He averages 3 a game. It's amongst the highest in the conference. He's got to do a better job of taking care of the ball while still staying aggressive.
Well, he could be spectacular when things are working. Still a work in progress, sophomore from Iowa. There's Golden. Spin move in the paint. Gets it to go off the glass.
2 of the more physical, rugged guys, Bryce Golden and Theo John, battling down low, and that time Golden gets the better of him. But look for, they're going to get a moving screen on Theo John. It just says I was talking about him being physical. These guys love contact, both Golden and Theo John. They don't shy away. And watch here, a little extracurricular, a little elbow to the nose, a little nudge.
All's fair in love and war. Back-to-back turnovers for Marquette. Theo John, a guy who tends to get in a bit of foul trouble 4 times this year, or 8 times this year, I should say. He's had 4 or more personal fouls. Golden on the taste. And the game is tied.
You know, Theo John, by the way, has had knee issues. You see that left knee sleeve that he has. He has not practiced very much this season. We talked to Wojo about that, and he's been, you know, really sympathetic towards Theo John. They need him. They need him to be healthy, but they can't practice him or else he's not going to be able to play in the games. And the reason I bring this up, not as an excuse, but more of a reason. You saw Bryce Golden has kind of beat him twice now to the right. And I don't think Theo John is fully healthy. And so if you're Butler, you got to be aware of that and attack him. Theo John had a hard time staying in front of Christian Bishop, another mobile, agile forward in the Big East.
Yeah, that's John going to work, though. It's interesting. He played last season with a broken wrist, still finished 3rd in the league and blocked shots.
Yeah, just put some tape on those wrists and let's go to work.
A turnover from the Bulldogs. Starts have been a huge issue for Butler. Maybe not right away, but the second 5-minute segment of the game just has been disastrous at times for Butler as Dawson Garcia rattles this one home.
See that he finished that with his right hand? Dawson Garcia is a left-handed player, left-handed shooter, and that showing his dexterity. He can go either direction. That's impressive.
Garcia 0 for 6 from the field. No points at 27 minutes last time out. Christian David off the mark from 3. Jamal Cain the rebound for Marquette.
Yeah, speaking of Dawson Garcia, I think he got a little shell-shocked in the first few minutes of that game, Alex. He went against Ike Obiagu from Seton Hall, who blocked 2 shots in the first 7 or 8 minutes of that game against Garcia, and he kind of looked like a deer in headlights for the rest of the game.
Here's McEwen slicing his way through all the traffic, and then lost the handle as he went up with it. On the deck, picked up by Golden. And that is kind of McEwen's season in a nutshell. Have moments of brilliance. Just a little mistake here or there. Hodges unable to make him pay on the other end.
Still a really nice shot for Hodges. Yes, it doesn't go down, but that's what they need from him. He is probably the best all-around athlete on the team and a guy who can create a shot offensively for himself and for others, and is excellent attacking downhill when you give him a half step. Thompson is on Dawson Garcia down low. They can't get it to him, though, because Thompson's fighting him off.
Garcia here with a catch, and it's fouled late in the shot clock. Bit of a bailout after a strong defensive possession. Garcia getting it done on both ends of the floor, Casey.
Yeah, that's only his 11th block on the season. This is where you know he can get it done.
Cherokee Jeep, there's only one. 8-4 Marquette in the early going. What a strange season it's been for Marquette. Head scratching in one end. 3 games under 500 overall, 5-10 of the Big East, but they've picked up some really good wins this season.
Yeah, Marquette is ranked 108th in the net, but they're the only team outside of the top 50 with 3 quad 1 wins, and we showed you those 3 quad 1 wins. So what does that mean? It means they can beat any team in the country, but they can also lose to any team in the country. Alex, we showed you they have weapons individually. I mean, look, I talked about Dawson Garcia. He's a matchup nightmare. I mean, what do you do with him? You put a small guy on him to contend with him on the outside, or a big guy on him to contend with him in the post? DJ Carton, I would argue, is the best dunker in the conference and a dynamic scorer. Theo John is a tough, rugged rebounder and shot blocker. The pieces look good on paper. They've just been wildly inconsistent with their shooting. And I thought after losing Marcus Howard last year that they would be better on the defensive end. It has not been the case. Their defensive numbers have gone down, or gotten worse, I should say.
Garcia had a breakout game against Villanova a little while ago. Career-high 28 points. Had his way with the Wildcats, but didn't get much support. And what wound up being a lopsided loss. An entry pass gets knocked away. He'll go back to the Golden Eagles, intended for Garcia.
Butler defensively doing a fantastic job of fighting. We already saw Aaron Thompson, who got switched off on Garcia, and that time it was Bo Hodges, who is arguably their most versatile guy on both ends of the floor. He can guard a center if you ask him to. He can also guard and switch out on perimeter players.
Here's McEwen. Feeds it across to Symir Torrance, his first touch of the game, and out. Rebound for Miles Tate. One note for Butler, Jair Bolden coming off the bench to start this game. He started all 18 games so far this season, but struggled shooting the ball of late. Laval Jordan wanting a little bit more of a spark off the bench. It is a bit of a short-handed Butler team. They're down to 8 scholarship players at one point before Bo Hodges was deemed eligible by the NCAA.
Yeah, certainly injuries have been an issue for Butler. Jacoby Coles tore his meniscus. He's out for the year. Scooby Johnson tore his ACL before this season even started. They're without him. But good news is they got this young man right here, Bo Hodges, #1, back, and they got Christian David back, too.
Tate off the mark from 3. Skying in for the board is Jamal Cain, but it goes back to Butler.
We mentioned Cain coming off the bench. This is what he provides. He is a fantastic athlete, excellent rebounder. He kind of just plays his role, too. He can score, but he's not a guy that requires a ton of touches or complains about the lack thereof. Just goes out and plays the game. Right here he is, number 23.
Butler has all 4 points from Bryce Golden. The rest of the team 0 for 6 from the field. Chuck Harris dials up a 3 to end that trip. And Butler's within 1.
When Aaron Thompson is in the corner, he's a point guard. When he's in the corner, he is going to be a back cutter. And right there, he got the pass, and then he became a facilitator. Everybody stared at him, and he got the ball to Chuck Harris.
Cain, off the heel of the rim, comes back out to John Michael Malloy, the bench player that Butler's used to get a spark. Here's Harris on the reverse, couldn't get it to drop. Here's a nice finish, just didn't get the roll. Meanwhile, it's Carton off the mark from 3. Neither team exactly efficient offensively right now. Hodges throws this away.
Well, that was a beautiful kick-ahead pass, too, and Bo Hodges kind of wasted it. He left the ground with really nowhere to go. He didn't know if he wanted to shoot it or pass it. You learn that in 3rd grade when you go to basketball camp. Never leave the ground if you don't know what you want to do. There's an example.
Entry feed to Garcia, surrounded by white jerseys, and gets clipped.
Making a concerted effort to get Dawson Garcia touches, and it makes sense. We've already mentioned it a couple times. He was 0 for 6 from the field against Seton Hall. And not that Coach Wojo is worried about the confidence of his young freshman. He actually mentioned it. He said he has a really great attitude. He's not a guy that gets too high or too low, talking about Dawson Garcia. And that serves him well, you know, bounce back opportunity games like this.
Oh, nice tip in. Play drawn up out of the inbounds pass, and Jamal Cain knocks it in. Meanwhile, Jair Bolden checks in for the first time today for Butler.
He's number 52 in white, bottom of your screen. Fantastic shooter.
Harris. Got the floater in the paint off the spin move, missed the rim.
Here, if you're not looking at the ball, just throw it right past his ear hole. Well done. You got to make sure that you get eye contact, right? You don't need to say any words, just the eye contact is enough communication to let that play get through.
Thompson gathers.
This is where he plays out of the corner. He's going to back you down and become a facilitator. He plays the point guard position so unorthodox.
Rare three-point try. Skips off the front of the rim, snared by Carton.
Only his 5th three for the season.
Elliott, meanwhile, splashes one in on the other end, and it's a 13-7 lead for Marquette.
So the adjustment that Marquette made has certainly paid off. Greg Elliott has been aggressive from the jump, and now they insert Jamal Cain, who's already made his presence felt. Looks like a little bit more consistent effort sustained here from the Golden Eagles.
Can Butler find ways to score? Been a problem this year, getting off to such slow starts. Again, a mismanaged offensive possession. They're now 1 for 7 from the field, their last 7 tries. And a turnover here, giving Marquette a look to build the lead. Carton off the drive. Floater wouldn't go. Rebound pulled down by Malloy. Finished the layup.
That too has been an issue, and Val Jordan talking to us yesterday about that. They missed too many layups in the first matchup they did. Dug them a deep hole.
They fell behind early against Marquette. First meeting trailed by 18. Roared back, couldn't quite close it out. And Marquette again with an early lead over Butler.
Butler's offense has struggled a bit, but on this possession, they got it right. This is Bo Hodges dribbling down the lane. Now watch Aaron Thompson. He's not going to stay in that corner. He's going to back cut, and then Chuck Harris is going to fill that corner spot. Aaron Thompson does not want to score. He wants to distribute, and that was perfect basketball. Again, you're going to see that play several more times, folks, watching at home. Watch Aaron Thompson as the point guard. He will give up the ball, and then he becomes a back cutter and a post-up guy in that corner. Really interesting player to watch is Aaron Thompson.
He's already well up the ladder in terms of assists in his Butler career. 6th all-time in program history. And coming off back-to-back games of double-digit assists. Missed 5 games this year. The knee injury, he's been backed up. They run so much through him over the course of the year. There's Carton inbounds. Cain, offensive board, and the putback. And one.
Wow, see, he wasn't even really looking at the rim. He just felt the contact and threw that ball up. Watch him, number 23, right in the center circle there. He's going to get this. He's not even looking at the rim. Just finds a way to get it done, though. He kind of just has a feel, right? You just know where the rim is. Just get it up there.
It's a player that's kind of slowly emerged, averaging double figures for the first time in his career, 10 points per game.
His basketball journey has been fun to watch, Jamal Cain. He was 175 pounds as a freshman when he came in. Now he's 200 pounds, and it looks like he's finally understanding, what his role is, and of course they need him to score.
Turnover woes continue for Butler. That's their 6th. Beg your pardon, their 5th, either way. 8-0 run for Marquette, looking for more. Zip this inside. Extra pass from Carton to Cain, and out.
I thought Greg Elliott had a wide open layup there. He could have just flipped it over his head on a reverse style, but
scoring drought approaching 4 minutes for Butler now. Harris can't hit. Punch back out. We got a fresh 20. Bolton a 3. He buries it from way downtown. That's one way to get a a spark with Jair Bolden into the game.
And he really needed that too, Bolden, for his own confidence. Just 4 of 18 from 3 in his last 3 games coming in. But I mentioned he's a really good shooter, one of the most dangerous shooters in the entire Big East Conference.
Off the pick and roll, played by Carton, reversing back out for Elliott. And Elliott has 8 points on the night.
What a spark. Elliott's been 4th year junior. He played a season-low 4 minutes against Butler in the first matchup, so he's got a bone to pick with this Bulldog team, or maybe his coach. I don't know, either one.
Either way. Defending now against Bolden. And the Bulldogs let it breathe. Harris got Kane out of his stance. Bolden another 3. It won't go. And the rebound pulled down by Theo John.
Marquette defensively dodged a bullet there. You have to have awareness of where number 52 is. You can't even let him catch it if you're 1 pass away.
Elliott's been the hot hand. They get it to their big man, and John is met at the rim, drawing the contact. Tag to Bo Hodges. His second, I beg your pardon.
So I've been talking about the most dangerous three-point shooters in the Big East, and here they are. And this isn't statistical. This is just my own opinion. These guys, you just can't leave open. They'll change the game. Nate Johnson's been incredible for Xavier. Mitch Ballock's been on this list for 2 consecutive years now. And Jair Bolden, 48 made threes, and this is what he does. He's not a guy that attacks the rim at all. He is hunting that three-point line.
Been a bit streaky this year.
We're all streaky as shooters.
That's true.
Right? Don't hold it against us.
We talked to LaVall Jordan about it. Human nature to start thinking about it, especially when you haven't been scoring as efficiently. But still top 5 in the league in three-point makes. I think he'll be super important for this team in the Big East tournament in a couple weeks to have that kind of presence. Whether he starts or comes off the bench doesn't matter.
Yeah. If you don't have multiple shooters on the floor in basketball, it is difficult to run offense. You become predictable. You can't stretch out the defense, and you don't have driving lanes. So as Golden hits a mid-range jumper, which is about his range right there. But if you don't have shooters, it's tough to drive. It's tough to post up. It's really tough to do anything.
Mid-range Shea ends a 13-3 run for Marquette. Oh, man, Martin. Strong finish. He gets into the game with his first deuce.
You don't see a lot of guys bulldoze Aaron Thompson to the rim. I mean, he's a strong guy right here. He wants to get him back. A little revenge in the post, maybe.
Bolden. And heat check. As Golden goes back up. Foul on the floor, I believe, and it's on Theo John. It's his second.
Watch here. Just putting his shoulder into one of the best defenders you'll find. DJ Carton and Marquette still got it rolling. Before you return, he had 18 points in just 25 minutes off the bench against Providence, and this is now a UConn team that nobody wants to face because they've always been good defensively, but they've always kind of missed that next scoring option besides R.J. Cole, and now they got him back.
Squarely on the bubble. Gut feeling right now, does UConn make the tournament?
Oh, in. If you're telling me that Bouknight's going to play for the rest of the season, in. I mean, he is a lottery pick scorer, a guy that could average more than 20 points per game from here on out if he plays a lot of minutes, which he will.
All right, so here's Bryce Golden at the free throw line. 6 points, now 7 with that free throw. The rest of the team has just 6. Butler has got to find ways to score facing another early deficit here. Marquette 23, Butler 14. DJ Carton. I've seen one of those trademark dunks yet. Spot a 3, Garcia, no. And the Bulldogs have the rebound. Jamal Kane, great effort, try to tap that back out. Bolden a 3, off the front of the rim. That's a zone miss after it was tapped back out by Kane. Golden spinning at the low post and puts it in. What a start for Golden, who has 10 points.
I'm not sure he jumped more than an inch off the ground on that one. He looked off balance, but he took the contact from Dawson Garcia and flipped it up and in. The Golden looks really good in the first few minutes here after the first break.
Season high is 19, Mike. Kane, double team baseline. Garcia takes it himself and drains it. 5 for Garcia, and the lead back to double figures for Marquette.
One of the most difficult things to guard in all of basketball is a big guy that can shoot it from deep. He puts so much pressure on your defense. They call him a stretch big. What does that mean? Stretch 4 or stretch 5? It means that you make the defense stretch away from the basket. So difficult to guard.
Garcia guarding Golden now. Golden's first miss of the game. Carton averaging 14 points per game since conference play began. The pick and roll. Switch, and they got Garcia in the lane. He couldn't handle the pass.
That was Wilmuth, number 5, who got over there early outside of the charge circle to make that play difficult.
Thompson, meanwhile, high off the glass, no. And punched back out. Golden Eagles will slow things up in the front court. Off the head fake, Elliott in the paint, feeds the corner, McEwen, no. Rebound for Chuck Harris. It's Thompson, Butler working in transition. Thompson going to work, and the foul. His first 2 of the night. Might make a 3 at the line.
When you watch Aaron Thompson play, he is also a left-handed shooter. Keep that in mind when you watch him right now. Watch. He looks like a right-handed player. I mean, you see the tape that's wrapped on his shooting hand, but he is a right-handed driver. In fact, he drives there 75% of the time. He prefers to go right, and he's an excellent right-hand finisher at the rim. Just another kind of I keep using that word unorthodox. It's the best way to describe Aaron Thompson as a player. He just kind of, you think he's going to zig and he zags.
Not to mention orchestrating the offense from the point guard position. Shooting 54% from the field himself. There's and one the other way for Symir Torrance. And he gets into the game, and now, other than Jose Perez, every Marquette player has scored in this game.
Yeah, that's a great sign for Coach Wojo and the Golden Eagles. Symir Torrance has, his struggles from behind the arc have been well documented. If you've watched Marquette play, he's just 4 for 30 from 3. But he's a fantastic driver and drives with a purpose, looking for contact. He had a really nice and one last game against Seton Hall.
This year was supposed to be Torrance's freshman year. He accelerated last season, former top 50 recruit. Still some room to grow, no doubt. They leave Malloy unmarked in the restricted area, and Malloy's first 2 of the night. Butler chipping away at the deficit. It is down to 8.
A slow double team by Dawson Garcia, and there was no backside communication at all. That was the easiest bucket that Butler is going to have all night.
Torrance a 3 off the mark. And here's Harris on the run-up. Harris spy is lonesome. The defense from Perez. And the rejection. 2-on-1 for Marquette. On the take, gets Elliott. And Elliott is into double figures. Lead back to 10 for Marquette.
This is the best game I've seen from Greg Elliott. He had 14 points in a big win at Creighton, one of the 3 quad 1 wins that Marquette's had this year. But Elliott looks better even tonight compared to that one.
Foul is on Marquette's 25.
In transition, watch Greg Elliott take the contact, goes off of 2 feet. Why is that important? Because it allows you to absorb the contact. If he goes off one leg and he gets hit, his body's probably going to be off balance. He's going to fly out of bounds. But you go off 2 legs, you're on balance, and you're a stronger basketball player.
McEwen fouled Harris, sending the freshman to the line.
In for Marquette, 25.
Kane checks back in. 23. McEwen will sit with those 2 fouls. mentioned Chuck Harris right off the hop. 16 points in 21 minutes off the bench. Last meeting against Marquette.
He's been one of the most impactful freshmen in the Big East. Dawson Garcia's on that list. Posh Alexander for St. John's is certainly on that list. But Chuck Harris, Miles Tate, Ryan Kalkbrenner from Creighton, Dwan Odom from Xavier. The future is bright for all of those young men and the Big East Conference.
Timeout on the floor. 8-point lead for the Golden Eagles in Indianapolis. Black History Month, spotlighting some of the coaches in this league. And I think as we go through here with Ed Cooley, LaVall Jordan, Mike Anderson, Patrick Ewing, the sense of history for this league and for, I think, understanding the big picture here. We've talked to LaVall a couple times. Obviously this year honoring John Thompson. And knowing the sense of place for this league and the history that is conferred down the generations. Coming up next, Jeep Halftime Report. Rob Stone, Steve Lavin. Closer look at the friendship between Seton Hall stars Sandro Mamukalishvili and Miles Kale. A preview Seton Hall and DePaul coming up next here on FS1.
And we can't forget the Black Lives Matter movement. They still have the patches on every single jersey in the Big East Conference, that black patch. As we're continuing to try and deal with the pandemic, we still can't forget about what we're fighting for in this country and all the improvement that we still have to make.
Bid from Perez, wouldn't go, and off the underside of the rim, Elliott underneath, couldn't finish. 31-23 Marquette. 3:21 to go in the half. Harris, entry pass. Golden's been the leading scorer for Butler. Did he take steps?
I think that's an offensive foul.
Yeah, it is. Good call.
It was a nice set and well executed to get Bryce Golden the ball. The only problem, Alex, is he caught the ball way too below that block. You see that little square at the bottom of the outside lane there. And he didn't have anywhere to go. And that's why he had to give that shoulder shimmy to create space.
Turnovers have piled up for Butler. That's 6 in the game now. For a team that only averages about 10 per game.
Yeah, LaVall Jordan, we talked to him before the game, said two keys. We can't turn the ball over, and we can't take bad shots. And actually, both of those are kind of together, because a bad shot can lead to an easy fast break opportunity, much like turnovers can.
The Golden Eagles in the bonus here, and Jose Perez at the line. Transfer from Gardner-Webb. Christian David comes back in for Butler. Watch where he's on the far left side of that free throw line, Perez. Knocks it down anyway. It's back to a 10-point lead. Yeah, Perez will sit. Again, Marquette, their bench has kind of been in a weird spot without Justin Lewis, who averages about 8 points per game. Theo John comes back in here.
It took about a minute for Theo John to unwrap the heat on both of his knees, but certainly that left knee that's been bugging him all year.
And we saw Garcia go back to the locker room. Harris, off the fade, goes up and draws contact from Torrance. The free throws for the freshman.
I get so excited when I see a move like that. I know he didn't get the and one, but maybe this just makes me such a basketball nerd. But that was fantastic fundamentals for a freshman to drive the lane and then 2-foot jump stop, get the pump fake, create the contact. Don't see that a lot from young players in college basketball. They just want to kind of go wildly and attack the rim. And this is the future of Butler's program right here. Chuck Harris, Miles Tate, who have already started several games between the two of them and already proven how how tough they can be at both ends of the floor. My only concern, Alex, is that those two players are small. Ohio State's 6 foot, right? And Chuck Harris just 6'2", so you're going to need to surround those guys with bigger, longer players if they're going to be effective and compete for a Big East championship.
Here's John, spin move against Golden. And John now has 6 points. That lead is stabilized between 8 and 10 for Marquette as we close in on the end of the half. Harris got Torrance up in the air. Pick set by Golden, but Harris decides to back it out. Haven't called Bo Hodges' name very much with those 2 fouls he picked up early, and this swirls in and out from the transfer. While it is Carton hit the finish. And it's a 12-point lead for Marquette. Timeout taken by Laval Jordan. Largest lead of the night for Marquette. DJ Carton been playing really well leading into tonight. Point lead for Marquette. Timeout taken by Butler with just under 2 minutes to play. Golden Eagles led by Greg Elliott. His first start of the season. 10 points for Elliott. Just saw Carton with the finish there, chipping in with 4, but depth from Marquette on display here, and a great start from Elliott as he gets his first nod to start.
That's the way to respond. Of course, he wants to start. He's been content to play the role that his coach asked him to, but then he said, oh, you want me to start? All right, here I go. I'm going to be aggressive from the jump, and he has been. This is a balanced offense for Marquette. They have 6 guys that average between 8 and 13 points per game.
Thompson on the drive, knocked down Carton. I'll give it a defensive foul.
Just a brush screen is what you call that from Bo Hodges there. And that was just enough to give Aaron Thompson a half-step advantage. Really nothing that DJ Carton could do. Get out of the way, maybe.
Free throw wouldn't go. So with Thompson missing the front end and the Golden Eagles picking up the board, a chance to grow the lead here.
Free throws have also been an issue for Butler. They don't get there enough, only 16 times a game, and they're just 62% from the foul line when they do get there. The second worst in the conference behind Xavier.
There's Kane going around Wilmoth. Tried to scoop it in, got hit late.
Fellas on the Bulldogs 5, Miles Wilmoth, his second
This is just
attempt on the team.
bad defensive footwork. Wilmoth is a power forward who's having to guard a shooting guard in Jamal Kane. It's tough for him. He's got to use his length. He's a really long, great wingspan. You got to use it to your advantage. Take a step back, have a hand up, and make the defense beat you from over the top.
Kobe McEwen comes back, and we have not seen Dawson Garcia on the Marquette bench since going down to the locker room. So we'll see if we can follow up and get further word on what happened with talented freshman for the Golden Eagles. Kane puts it in. 14-point lead as he hits both free throws. Scoring and fast. Hodges. And Wilmoth backs it out to Harris.
Bo Hodges, number 1, yet to make a field goal in the first half for Butler.
Harris heaves a 3, came up well short. 1 and done for the Bulldogs. And Casey, their halftime deficits have been, they've had to come from serious deficits. Last 4 games, 18, 8, 12, and 14.
Yeah, that's not great. And I asked about Jordan about it as Theo John just drives way behind Bryce Golden. Hardly any resistance there at the rim. Marquette extends this lead. I asked about Jordan. I said, look, if you knew what was going on, you would have fixed it by now. So he's searching for options. Definitely is one of the reasons why he brought Jair Bolden off the bench. Try and give them, maybe a sustained effort offensively.
Golden unable to finish. John walling him up. And this to take nothing away from what is a much-needed good first half offensively for Marquette. They've lost 6 of 7 coming into the day. The only win against Butler in that span. Heat from Elliott. Off the mark from 3 as the half comes to a close. But 41 points for Marquette in the first half, led by the 10 from Greg Elliott in his first start of the season. Physical as you might expect between these two, but it is a 16-point lead for the Golden Eagles at halftime. Indianapolis Sheep halftime report is coming up next. Getting ready for the second half. Take a look at our first half stats, sponsored by Jeep Grand Cherokee. Marquette tying a season high in conference play with 41 first half points, shooting 50% from the field.
Now look, all of these numbers are relatively close except for the first one, right? This is a make or miss game, and when you shoot 50% from the field and hold your opponent to less than 30, you should be up by at least 10 points, and that's what we have here so far for Marquette.
We saw Dawson Garcia come back out to take warm-ups right before the half. A couple fingers taped up. We're presuming, just based on, we have no information otherwise of what work was done when he went down the tunnel into the Marquette locker room, but at least good for the Golden Eagles to see him back out there.
Yeah, you can see he's moving his fingers. He's giving his teammates low fives, and it's his non-shooting hand. Dawson Garcia is a big lefty, and that tape is on his right hand, so that's good news. It shouldn't affect his shot. He had 5 points, including 1 3-pointer in that first half, but did you notice that he had 0 rebounds? They're going to need him to contribute on both ends of the floor, him and Theo John. They got to be able to patrol the paint and come back and crash the glass.
A good chunk of Butler's points in the first half came off second chance opportunities. They had 6 offensive rebounds and at 10 second chance points. One and done though here from Thompson to start the half. 41-25 Marquette, looking for the season sweep over the Butler Bulldogs. Inside to Theo John, and a bump from Aaron Thompson, backpedaling into the restricted area. That's his second.
I don't understand how this is a foul. This is Aaron Thompson coming over, hands straight up. Like, how is that a foul on Aaron Thompson? This is a perfect opportunity for a no call. Let's just go ahead and play that ball straight from outside of the charge circle and see who wins. Because if you call that, you got to call pretty much everything.
John up to 9 points now. As Kane checks back in. This was just a thought of mine, just watching Marquette play a couple of times this year and seeing how many guys have contributed today. You know, with Henry Ellenson and the Hauser brothers and Marcus Howard last year, the thought for so many years for Marquette was they needed more balance. Well, they have it this year, and as you mentioned earlier, Casey, so many guys that can contribute, and yet it's gone a little bit sideways. This is the first time all year it seems like that balance is working to fruition.
Yeah, I mean, 6 guys that average between 8 and 13 points a game as Bo Hodges is trying to take Jamal Cain on the block here.
It's John. Nice defense against Golden. And the Golden Eagles have the board.
You want to have balance, but you also want to have alphas, as DJ Carton draws the foul there. Alpha dogs that can take over down the stretch. Just ask the Butler fans last year. Kamar Baldwin probably played that role to perfection. And here's Jamal Cain. Really good defense walling up. That's another wall up by Theo John. See how the arms are almost straight up. They're not exactly vertical, but that's how you want to do it. Contest without fouling.
John using the glass off the rim and out.
But to go back to that point, Alex, like, you want offensive balance, but you want a guy who you trust can get you a shot, create a shot, especially at the end of basketball games. That is wildly underrated as Bo Hodges hits a mid-range jumper.
To your point about Baldwin, he led Butler in scoring 20 times last year and had a penchant for clutch makes. Had the buzzer beater over Xavier, regular season finale. Perfect example.
He was definitely the most clutch player in the Big East. Miles Powell was also there. You know, this year in the Big Ten, if you've been watching Big Ten hoops, Ayo Dosunmu is not only a National Player of the Year candidate, he is the most clutch player in college hoops. And, you know, when it's close, they just give him the ball. They hardly run any plays, maybe a ball screen for him, and he's going to get a good shot. Of course, he's not going to shoot 100%, but he gets good looks.
It's a takeaway from Tate. And again, Butler having trouble converting on rebounds.
They're having trouble
on layups, rather.
Yeah, they're really having trouble converting on layups. They were just 3 for 8 at the rim in the first half. And I don't know if you would categorize that little runner as a shot at the rim, but it was certainly an open look that was close to the basket.
Garcia, that's his first look off the rim. Just keep an eye on him as the half progresses. Thompson, baseline. Shifty move to locate Golden to the bounce pass. And Golden going to work. He has been the most potent scorer for Butler tonight, now up to 12 points.
And Coach Jordan told me before the game that if he could handpick one guy to have a good game, it was Bryce Golden. It wasn't just about scoring. It just his activity level when he's engaged, this Butler team rises to another level.
Garcia rolls off the rim. A nice pickup for the freshman. He'll head to the line.
A tendency for players when you get the ball in the lane and you're surrounded by a bunch of yellow jerseys is to panic. You see how he just kind of takes his time. And again, he doesn't jump very high. Watch how far he gets off the ground. Maybe 6 inches or so, but that's plenty when you got shoulders as broad as Bryce Golden does.
Started all 31 games last year. This year, starting all but one.
In for your Bulldogs, 3, Chuck Harris.
Shoulder problems earlier in his career. Golden required some surgery, but has just been a reliable player for the years for Butler. Garcia now with 7.
You saw the graphic there. Garcia is the leading freshman scorer in the Big East Conference. Posh Alexander for St. John's is now, if you take over just the last 6 or 7 weeks of the season, he is breathing down Dawson Garcia's neck for that Freshman of the Year award. Posh Alexander might be one of the best full-court defenders I've seen in my 7 years working at FS1.
That's high praise. That's a team nobody wants to play right now.
Absolutely not. They turn you over. It's their specialty.
And Thompson. Not a lot of options, and he's having to take some looks that otherwise he might have been distributing.
It's a good point. Aaron Thompson has been kind of uncharacteristically aggressive trying to get a shot going because he knows that this team needs to score, and they need to score right now.
Right underneath. John rips away the rebound and gets the putback. He's up to 12.
The other thing I noticed about Theo John throughout his career is actually learning how to play without fouling. His foul rate per 40 minutes, you look at the numbers, have gone down. Beautiful.
Well, Thompson's going to have to take the offense and place it on his shoulders. He's fully capable of finishing. Well, it's still a lot of digging to do for Butler. But you're right about John, one of the more imposing rim protectors in the Big East. Dude is built.
Yeah, and he's not healthy. We mentioned it in the first half, but he's wearing that leg sleeve on that left knee. It's been bothering him all year.
Carton off the mark, punched back out. And 3. No. Second half, Marquette just 1 of 6 from the field. And Tate with nowhere to go. Finds Harris. And a heave from Harris comes up short.
Been really impressed with the individual defense of Jamal Cain. His versatility is on display here in the first 25 minutes of this game. He can guard almost any position except for center.
Oh, what a night for Elliott.
He's got a cramp.
Yeah.
He's got a cramp on his left calf.
12 points coming into the starting lineup, and he's going to try to game it out here.
Well, you might want to foul if you're Marquette here. You're playing down a guy.
Nice bit of sportsmanship from Laval Jordan. Final timeout.
John Michael Malloy.
Now Elliott making his first start of the season count, even if it results in cramping.
Get this young man some water.
12 points for Elliott. Greg Elliott rapidly approaching his season high in minutes played, already 21. His season high is 27, cramping up after this make.
Yeah, he's just not used to playing this. In the first matchup, he had a season low 4 minutes, but Elliott's been fantastic. We hope he's okay. He's getting some work done during that break and also getting some fluids in his body. But Greg Elliott in the previous 5 games scored 10 points combined in those 5 games. Tonight, he's got 12 points, 4 boards. You see the numbers right there. What a response in his first start of the season.
Marquette, their 3rd game in 7 days. Steve Wojciechowski's talked about the mix that they've got going in terms of their personnel. And you had a conversation with him earlier about what they want to do in terms of setting that personnel down the stretch. Maybe Elliott is a guy who's flown under the radar, can contribute for them.
I mean, this isn't a deep team, and Coach Wojo knows that, but like, name me a team that is super deep this year besides Gonzaga and Baylor. Everybody else is kind of struggling, right? And we looked it up, and Marquette ranks 324th in bench minutes. That's not the worst in the Big East, though. Villanova and Georgetown average less, so they're not the only team in the boat.
Well, Villanova's got like a 7-man rotation. Shot clock ticking down, and Harris drains along 3. Now up to 10 points on the night.
And if you're a Marquette Golden Eagle fan watching this game, you're having flashbacks of the first matchup when Chuck Harris just started going off. I mentioned he busted his tooth on a Theo John elbow, and it seemed to wake him up. And he was awesome down the stretch, and Butler creates another turnover here. Maybe there's a spark.
They don't want to have to keep coming back, but they have a penchant for making things interesting. 15 points, the lead for Marquette. Tate spins. Hayes couldn't get the floater to go. Butler is a team shooting just 32% from the field tonight. It's John, grabbed by Malloy. And that sends us to a timeout. With the Golden Eagles, for now, comfortably ahead, 49-34 in Indy. Big East basketball is sponsored by Jeep Grand Cherokee. Jeep, there's only one. 15-point lead for Marquette over Butler. We take you back to February 2nd in Milwaukee. It was looking like a comfortable lead for Marquette that day, led by 18 in the second half, and then a furious comeback from Butler. Yeah, this is coming up short.
Yeah, Marquette shot 62% in that game, which should have been enough. Right there, you saw Jair Bolden cut it to a 1-possession game, and then Jair Bolden had a buzzer-beating, potential game-tying 3 right in front of Butler's bench that was on line, on target, just grazed off the front of the rim. But Butler forced 21 turnovers. Their defense was so active, especially in that second half. It's going to take that kind of defensive activity to get them back in. And then the 3-point shooting, you mentioned it, Alex. Butler today just 3 of 13, and yet to get Jair Bolden, number 52, is at the bottom of your screen, coming off the bench tonight. He's just 1 of 4.
Carton, another strong finish at the rim. And even a tight defense, Carton finds a way. Well, if they're going to start climbing back, they will have to hit threes from somewhere. They hit 7 of them in that comeback effort. Harris puts it up. And as he tries to go for the rebound, it's off his hand. And it goes out back to Marquette.
Well, we've been talking about Laval Jordan's team and just how used to coming back from these deficits, but you don't want to make a constant habit of it every single game. Even though they're at home, Hinkle doesn't have quite the magic that it's had in years past because there aren't enough fans.
McEwen in and out from three. Goes back to Marquette here. I'll tell you what, this Marquette team, they were in need of a bounce back themselves. Losing to Seton Hall, 51 points, played decent defensively, but just could not score. 30% shooting, just 3 of 25 from deep. John off the mark with a hook shot.
It's a good point. Marquette, struggled with slow starts just like this Butler team. In 9 of Marquette's 12 losses, they've trailed at the half. But this time, they got it going early offensively, and their defense has really picked it up, though. Their defense has allowed them to kind of breathe easy on the offensive end.
Extra pass. Kane straight away. And the lead is 20. 3 Marquette players in double figures. John, Kane, and Elliott. Thompson gets fouled hard and hits the deck hard. He's in pain.
That would be a big loss for Butler, but the fantastic ball movement. One side of the floor, back to the other. Jamal Kane stepping into one. Marquette continues to roll.
Let's take you back to what just happened here to Butler point guard Aaron Thompson.
So there's a drive. There's not a lot of contact here. I actually don't think this is a foul, but watch him fall on that left hand right there. That thumb, it's already wrapped, and he is a left-handed player, so it is his shooting hand, and obviously he's in a ton of pain there. They unwrapped that, and you see right now, he does not have any tape or anything on it right now.
This has been an injury-plagued campaign for Thompson. He's had to do a lot, no doubt, just based on the personnel that Butler has. Injured his knee early in the season, that jammed his hand last month. Been playing through that last couple of weeks.
Yeah, what's interesting, I mean, obviously he's really a tough competitor and the leader of this team. But what's interesting about it is he actually prefers to drive to his right hand. He likes to finish with his right hand at the rim. So obviously he's in a lot of pain. He's going to get it rewrapped. I expect him to come back out. But it is interesting that he can play with a bad shooting thumb better than most point guards, I think, in the country can do, just because of how he plays and how he operates.
Basically played one-handed for earlier this season. So he's replaced by Christian David to take the free throws as he gets attention and gets that hand rewrapped on the bench. Christian David making his first career start tonight. Road back for him. ACL tear last January, wasn't available to start the season. Made his season debut January 30th. Saying he can't come on the floor at the moment. Got to wait at the table first, so Miles Wilmoth will come into the game.
He's got to shoot the free throws because it was Aaron Thompson that got fouled on that shot, and if he's not available to shoot.
There's a lot of work being done.
I've been there before, not exactly with my left thumb, but my Achilles, my knee, you get all that tape, and the trainers do some big time work. They're the men and women behind the scenes that help these young men perform even when they're not at their best.
Carton travels here. Wild drive to the rim.
So that play that we just saw is actually one of their favorite plays that they run for DJ Carton. It's a fake dribble handoff, and you will often see him finish this with a thunderous dunk, but really nice job. Look at that wall up there from Bryce Golden, not allowing DJ Carton to unleash a hammer.
He's done that a number of times.
Oh, yeah. He's the best dunker in the Big East Conference. I actually don't even really think it's that close.
There's Garcia. Backing in on Golden. Up and under. Gets it to go off the window. And now Garcia is a point shy from joining 3 of his teammates in double figures.
And you know what I like about that, Alex, is he did that move on the right block. And what do I mean by that? If you're looking at the basket, the block that's on the right side, that's Dawson Garcia's weakest block. He much prefers the other side because he can go to that strong hand, that left hand. That time he was on the right block and finished it with the right hand. That's, to me, growth as a freshman.
Well, this is certainly the most complete performance you've seen from Marquette in a little while here. Garcia against Bolden, walled up. Garcia going back up, draws the foul.
And we're going to take another look at the right block attack from a possession ago. And again, he's not as comfortable, and the stats bear it out. I did some studying where he much prefers that left side, but that's the evolution. And then here's where he wants to. He wants to turn over the right shoulder to shoot with the left hand. He missed that bunny. He's still learning how to play through contact. I mean, Dawson Garcia, he lacks for nothing as far as, like, if you built a stretch forward in a laboratory, you would be 6'11". He'd be able to shoot from the 3. He'd be able to post up, and he'd be left-handed. Look, honestly, guarding guys who are left-handed is tough. You're constantly going against right-handed guys that can throw you off.
Joins John, Elliott, and Kane into double figures after splitting the pair at the line. Marquette, second half, has owned the glass. 15-4 rebound again. There's a pick off for Golden, who's been maybe the lone bright spot for Butler tonight, though Harris has 10. Golden has 14 to lead the Bulldogs.
I mean, Harris has 10, but it's taken 10 shots to get there. Bryce Golden has been much more efficient and played his role. But Butler just running out of time, and this Marquette Eagle offense is flying high right now.
Kane with 12. 59-36. Well, based on the way that Marquette had been playing the last couple games, this on paper had to make these to be a little more competitive, but they have just run away with this one.
And that right there was a great offensive possession for Butler. They just can't make open shots. I mean, that was Miles Tate. He's 0 for 5 tonight, and Butler as a team, three-point shooting has just been awful. 3 for 17 are the Bulldogs in their home arena. It just, and you know, Aaron Thompson not healthy with that thumb. He's still on the bench getting taped up. I don't know if we'll see him actually. If this lead keeps getting stretched out, I'm not sure if Val Jordan's going to put him back in the ballgame.
Golden's strong night continues. John with the foul.
Not sure why Theo John has to go into the body here. He already did his job. And actually, did they call that on Jamal King?
They did.
So I didn't see that on when it was live, but on a replay, I'm not sure what Jamal King was doing. You force a guy to take a fall-away jumper and you walk into his body. It's strange. Jamal King's been fantastic tonight. 12 points, 10 rebounds. And here is Aaron Thompson.
In for your Bulldogs, 2, Aaron Thompson.
You'd be hard-pressed to keep him off the floor, let's be honest. Based on his track record.
Yeah, he probably just went over to Coach Jordan and said, put me back in. What's Coach going to say?
Nope. Exactly. Cardenas to check out here. He's come back to the bench momentarily. Might be some sort of issue to deal with. Usually if you're bleeding, yeah, that's what it is. Oh, that always stings. Yep.
We feel you. We feel you, DJ. It's always those little paper cuts, those little nicks that hurt more than they should.
Those styptic pencils are never fun. 59-38. A bit of pressure from Butler up court, but no relent. Thompson back on the floor here. See it. Harris came together. Harris basically tackled him.
When you're in the post, there's a saying that the low man wins. And watch how low DJ Carter, he's almost basically dribbling on the floor, and that's what causes Chuck Harris basically fold like a piece of paper over the top of DJ Carter.
This matchup has been a physical one all night between John and Golden. They're still going after away from the ball. Step back three, Carton off the mark. Yeah, battle for the loose ball picked up by John, and the second half continues to go in Marquette's favor, rebounding the ball.
And even though Theo John gets credit for the rebound, it was Jamal Cain that got a fingertip on that ball to keep the possession alive. And just a real team effort there. And, you know, I also sympathize with Marquette fans who are watching this game and thinking to themselves, how come we can't do this every single game? It is tough to watch this Marquette team at times where, you know, and I know they're playing a struggling and undermanned Butler team. By the way, folks, Bryce Enzi, one of the better scorers for Butler, is out with an injury tonight. So we knew that you know, Marquette had an advantage maybe down low with Theo John and Dawson Garcia. But still, you watch Marquette play, and they have so many good individual pieces and players, and it's been a struggle for them to consistently put 40 minutes together, like over the course of several games, too, right? We've already talked about their 3 quad 1 wins. Amazing. They've proven that they can beat anybody in the country, but yeah, they just haven't been able to string together a winning streak.
John with 14 points at 14 against Seton Hall. Their loss on Sunday, and Cain now with a double-double, 10 points, 10 rebounds. As Harris splashes in for you, highlighted them at the beginning of the day, and it's certainly the future for Butler. But in terms of the present, it is a 20-point lead for the Marquette Golden Eagles in Indianapolis. We'll step aside. All right, gold is obviously part of the color palette of Marquette, but the next couple days, all their athletic teams are wearing gold jerseys, gold shoelaces in support of volleyball player Sarah Rose, who's undergoing treatment for bone cancer. And Marquette asks you to use the hashtag #GoldForSarah to post your support for Sarah throughout the week. Diagnosed with Ewing sarcoma too long ago. And really tight-knit family in Milwaukee. Their opponent playing volleyball not too long ago also wore gold in support of Sarah.
Well, we wish Sarah Rose well and thank her for her inspiration and keep fighting.
Yep. More optimistic people you'll meet, according to Marquette people. John saves this right to the waiting hands of Harris. 20-point lead for Marquette on the road, trying to get off the schneid here. They went 4-4 in their first 8 Big East games. But coming into the day, lost 6 of 7. Meanwhile, Golden is 1 point shy of a career high, up to 18 points this evening. 7 of 10 shooting.
That was Theo John, who was, quote, posting up, but he really wasn't posting up. He was trying to seal Bryce Golden so his teammates could drive the bucket. That's a vet move if I've ever seen one. Golden looking at the official like, what, man? You didn't see him doing that? He's got a smile on his face. He knows that he got played by the vet. And they're both upperclassmen.
Third for Golden. Meanwhile, Greg Elliott at the line here. What a day it's been for Elliott. He's now 1 point shy of a career high. 13 points for Elliott, making his first start this season.
And you have to wonder now for the rest of the year. We don't have a lot of games left to be played, but obviously for Marquette, every game right now is a do-or-die situation. At least that's how they have to look at it. But you wonder if this is going to be their lineup going forward, right? With the way that Greg Elliott played in that starting lineup, do you continue to just bring Jamal Cain off the bench, who's also been brilliant?
Behind the back from Harris. Jump stop, trying to duck under, and gets hit by Cain. You mentioned earlier, this Marquette team may not be that deep, nominally speaking, but it's not like they don't have options to go with. And I think that's where, if you're a Golden Eagles fan, you're saying to yourself, if they can find a way to put it together for the Big East tournament and find a way to get out of that Wednesday game and maybe make a run.
Sure, and I'm with you on that, but here's the problem. Marquette has not won a semi-final game in the Big East tournament since Steve Wojciechowski has been their coach. They've gotten to one semi-final. That was in 2019, Marcus Howard, right? But they did not win it. So they, like, to me, they have to win. You either have to get to the finals or win it to even have a shot.
Well, I mean, beyond NCAA tournament aspirations, if you can get to the semifinal, given the season that they've had, or at least the second half of their conference season they've had, like, they're feeling pretty good going into next year. Obviously, the ultimate goal is to make the tournament. Marquette hasn't won a tournament game since 2013. But they are firing in all cylinders this evening. Another 2 for Cain.
Jamal Cain just has a fluidity about him. Like, he makes that 14 points and 11 rebounds look like routine, like it was easy. As Chuck Harris gets called for travel there. Nice closeout from DJ Carton on that defensive possession. But, you know, Wojo said that when he approached Jamal Cain about coming off the bench tonight, he knew that Jamal, a senior, was going to be like, Coach, whatever you need, I'm all about it. I'm sick of us losing. So if you think it would be best for me to come off the bench to beat Butler tonight, let's roll.
Carton lost the handle, gets bailed out by the blocking foul. Thompson is very much a gamer.
It's one of those nights for Aaron Thompson. This is the right call, in my opinion. He is still moving, and he's got to get more square to get that call.
4th on Thompson.
DJ Carton, 21. He'll have a 1-and-1.
Carton at the line here.
DJ Carton was one of the more exciting players for me personally before the season started. The transfer from Ohio State had a fantastic freshman year, and I thought, hey, with Marcus Howard leaving, DJ Carton's going to be the guy, right? He got off to a really slow start. His first 5 games, just 9 points per game on 21% three-point shooting, and I was like, oh, I don't know. But he's been amazing. He's had 12 or more points in 8 straight games since.
Transferring in from Ohio State, left the program last January. He's their 3rd leading scorer before departing. And got a waiver to play instantly here at Marquette. And he's going to be valuable for them over the next couple of seasons. Pulls down the board here.
I wonder how he views all of his friends and teammates at Ohio State, who is now a 1 seed. Ohio State's ranked number 4 in the country out of the Big Ten and challenging Michigan for a Big Ten championship. And you know, DJ Carton is in a better place mentally than he was last year, so good for him. But it's got to be weird, though, to watch his former team just kind of dominate over the last 6 weeks.
Off the mark on the layup. If there is one area for Butler to clean up, and I know we talked about 3-point shoot, they have got to hit layups, because it is early in the game when it was close, 6, 7, 8 points. You hit a couple layups here or there, and you stay in touch.
And the numbers back up your point, partner. 6 of 15 for layups.
Yeah.
Butler, look, you don't have to play a perfect game of basketball to win, but when you get gimmies, and you're undermanned as a team, you got to make those count.
Foul on the Bulldogs, 52.
You're just talking about Ohio State.
Third, 10th on the team.
NCAA Tournament Selection Committee came out with their bracket preview over the weekend. Slotted in as a top seed. Javon Howard, what's going on with that Michigan team? They are good. National championship aspirations are right on for that Michigan team. I'm curious how you saw with the brackets unveiled over the weekend, at least the top 16, your thoughts of where things shake out.
Well, I agree with all those. I would have put maybe USC as the last team in. I think what they're doing in the Pac-12 is kind of underrated. I don't know if a lot of people are even watching the Trojans play with Evan Mobley. Really good. But to me, like, two surprises. We've already talked about one. If you would have told me, Alex, that Ohio State in February would have been a #1 seed, I would have looked at you sideways. Like, are you kidding me? But they deserved it. They have earned it. And last year, the two surprise teams were Dayton and San Diego State. This year, the surprise teams to me are Ohio State and how about Alabama? The job that Nate Oates is doing. They're the #1 defensive team in the country, but yet they also play with a really fast pace. They rain threes down on you. And I'm not claiming that Alabama should be a #1 seed or that they're better than Gonzaga or Baylor. But talking about dangerous teams that can blow you out, that's Alabama.
Just by virtue of the SEC, and when Kentucky is no good, that leaves a bit of a vacuum. Nobody seems to be talking about Alabama from a national perspective as we get closer to the tournament. Butler takes their final timeout here. And we'll step aside with under 5 minutes to go. All Marquette at Hinkle Fieldhouse. Madness at the finish.
Isn't it always like chaotic in the last lap?
The last couple of years especially, it's been that way. Hey, Theo John, we've talked about the performance from Elliott and from Garcia on the season, but Theo John just continues to work. 15 points for John.
They call it yeoman's work. Kind of the dirty stuff. He doesn't mind, throwing elbows, carving out space. He loves the contact. And, he only averages 8 points a game, but he never really complains about touches. And they don't run hardly any plays for him. He goes and gets it off the glass. He'll take an occasional post up here and there. But where would this team be without Theo John's kind of defensive anchor and presence over the last several years?
15 points, 6 boards. Has yet to record a block today. Second on the all-time career blocks list at Marquette today. Now, scoring has jumped. I think that's what's notable about Theo John. 5 points per game last year. He's close to about 9 per game now. And averaging double figures his last 5 games. And we talked about the foul issues and how that's kind of clamped down. And it feels like it's taken a little while, but his game is rounded into form.
He's also improved his free throw shooting out.
Yeah.
Something that we don't really talk about that much. But last year, 56% at the foul line. This year, above 72% as a big guy. That's great.
Butler continues to struggle from 3. 4 for 20 on the night. Four and a half to play. 4.5 away from a season sweep for Marquette. And this will be a turnover on a backcourt violation.
And a nice adjustment there from Butler defensively, trapping DJ Carton. But is it too little, too late? But they made him with that, they call it a retreat dribble. He took 2 retreat dribbles and then tried to outlet that ball. It's a long cross-court pass. Ended up being a turnover.
That's the 5th turnover for Carton this evening. The travel here from Thompson. Every time he lands, just thinking about that wrist being taped up.
Yeah, it's been a frustrating evening for senior Aaron Thompson. Nothing went right. 4 turnovers for Thompson, 5 points, 2 of 8 shooting. And he's going to be spending the evening icing his shooting thumb. We
haven't seen a theatric Showtime dunk from DJ Carton just yet. I don't know if we'll see one in the last couple minutes as an exclamation point. This ball is knocked away. Elliott drains a three. Elliott had 10 combined points over the previous 5 games. He now has a career-high 17 for Marquette.
And you notice the bench, the celebration. I always know like how good a teammate is. How good of a teammate are you is when you score, how the bench guys react. They're so happy for Greg Elliott. It's not like he's had a bad year. He just doesn't play a lot. Yeah. And he has shown bright today in the gold uniforms.
By percentage, he is the team's best three-point shooter. Just doesn't get a lot of touches just by virtue of his minutes. And Marquette deep into this game, still coming up with stops and converting in the offensive end. 10-0 run. Tace draws some contact.
That's the first made field goal for Miles Tate, who was 0 for 5 before that bucket.
Carton limping off here. At a timeout on the floor with 2:59 to go. And the Golden Eagles about to get back in the win column. I like it. Mamu after dark on FS1. It's coming up next. Joe Davis, Jim Jackson standing by. Marquette on their way to one of their biggest Big East wins. And we've talked about it a little bit here, Casey, the finish for Marquette. Can they get a better finish to the season than they've had in years prior?
Here's their last 7 scheduled games. They've already obviously lost 3 to, some of the best teams in the Big East, Creighton, Villanova, Seton Hall. They're going to get a win tonight. But what's interesting, folks, is the last 2 seasons, Marquette has finished their last 7 games with an identical 1-6 record. That's a disturbing trend where you want to be getting better as of late. So a win here will certainly help, but they want to finish. I think they have a chance to finish 3-4. If I were to guess, but obviously Wojo, he wants 7-0, of course. And when I mean 7-0, what we didn't show was the Big East tournament, right? Because we don't know when and where they're.
And this goes back a couple years, right? Marquette had a chance to win Big East regular season title in 2019, and they lost their last 4 regular season games. Won 1 game in the conference tournament, then got blown out by Murray State first round of the NCAA tournament. You don't want to call it a hangover effect from some of these years, but last season, different situation. They were trying to play their way in. They were on the bubble for a little bit and had a skid down the stretch. I don't know if that's carried into this year or not, but it lingers, right? When you have a bad taste in your mouth down the stretch in a season, does it linger in the following year?
There is no question about it. Look, my freshman year at Stanford, we were a #1 seed in the NCAA tournament, and we flamed out in the 2nd round against North Carolina. And Alex, it was all I thought about in that offseason. But you got to use it as fuel to your fire. And I don't think those 2 seasons are this season and last season are connected, because Marcus Howard isn't here. They're going to have to rebuild this entire roster with new roles. And they looked really good in the first month and a half as Chuck Harris hits a corner 3. But they just haven't been able to kind of really clarify all the roles, who's the best scorer. But injuries have played a role in that too, and the pandemic hasn't helped. There are excuses, many. If you want to find them, there are excuses and reasons why teams are not playing as well as they should. But the bottom line is you got to find a way to fight through it. And look, maybe this Marquette win at Hinkle Fieldhouse can catapult them. And maybe they found something with Jamal Cain coming off the bench and Greg Elliott in the starting lineup. Who knows?
Well, we'll see. Coverage begins March 10th on FS1. Back to Madison Square Garden, where things were abruptly ended. 1 half into the quarterfinals last year. That roar you heard was for Campbell Donovan and Mike Parker. Campbell Donovan, player who's been on the scout team, former walk-on, grew up a huge Butler fan. Tore his ACL last year in a season opener. Feel-good story. His dad, Rick, played at Butler in the late 1980s. Longtime friends with Thad Matta. Mike Parker, another guy who's just working away, grinding away, scout team-wise, redshirt sophomore. And that brace that Donovan is still wearing.
He's got his shorts tucked into that brace. That's a kind of a fashion statement that I'm unaware of.
And believe me, if either one of these guys score, it will get loud in here. Ran into Garcia, picking up the block. And this pass will go all the way into the backcourt and just bounce out of bounds.
Can't fault him for trying, though. I wish he would have squeezed off a bullet from the outside. He was open and then trying to attack the paint. Donovan.
I will say that one of my favorite games, it wound up being a blowout for Butler and a win. I think it was over Marquette back in 2016, and I got to cover a senior day at Hinkle Fieldhouse. And there is nothing like a senior day in this building where, especially with all the guys who have been four-year players, Roosevelt Jones, I think, was the senior honor at the time. And gave him a standing ovation, lasted 5 minutes, got to take the microphone at the end of the game. You can hear a pin drop with him thanking the fans and thanking the community in Indianapolis. I mean, they love these stories. They love these guys who put their heart and soul into the game. Donovan from Fort Wayne, Indiana. And a foul here.
Foul on Marquette.
So as we showed you, Marquette will face UConn on the 27th. DePaul and Xavier to finish out the regular season.
Teams that are in desperate need of wins, by the way, right? When you mentioned UConn and Xavier, the first thing that comes to mind are very talented teams who have been hit with large, long COVID pauses. Both of those teams, I believe, have only played 14 Big East games on the, 14 games total on the season. And so they're running out of opportunities to build their resume, UConn and Xavier.
And 41, Brendan Carney.
Here's the remaining schedule for Butler. Xavier coming up next. And then a gauntlet to finish with the Hall, Nova, Creighton.
That's the gauntlet that Marquette just finished, going 0-3 against that trio of teams.
Well, Harris keyed the comeback for Butler last time against Marquette with 16 points. He has 18 today. But
Butler basketball.
Butler was in need of a lot more than just his performance today and that of Bryce Golden. Under a minute to go. There's a heat from Parker. And they love it.
That's awesome.
Tate with the steal. And Marquette takes it away in the final half minute. Now this is a solid win, start to finish, for the Marquette Golden Eagles. Ending their skid. Again, they had lost 6 of 7 coming into the day. It will be a series sweep against Butler.
Let it go. This is a great moment for this young man. And, despite this score for a Butler fan, you got to feel good for these young men getting out here and hearing the cheer.
Just to reward some work.
Yeah. Think of all the practices that they did. As Chuck Harris, it's another 3. Yeah. All the practices, all the weight room sessions that they go through and rarely get a payoff.
Well, Marquette snaps a 3-game losing streak. They sweep Butler and come up with a comprehensive victory here at Hinkle Fieldhouse.
It was equal. equal parts good defense by Marquette and fantastic offense, and especially Greg Elliott, 17 points in his first start of the season.
He had 10 in total in the 5 games prior coming into the day. What a game for Marquette as they win at 73-57. Coming up next, DePaul and Seton Hall on FS1. For Casey Jacobson and our entire crew, this is Alex Faust, Joe Davis, Jim Jackson after the break.